Hey, I did some keeps on my aquarium earlier, but thought I'd go ahead and do a actual video. Yeah, this is my 56-gallon tank. Top fin from PetSmart, and all of my fish come from PetSmart. I have the gold skirt tetra. One is a regular gold skirt, the other one is a fancy gold skirt, or long gold skirt, rather. I've got platies, I've got, whatever kind of platies, the one with the black tail, and then I've got the sunburst, I've got Mickey Mouse, I've got 2 of each of those, and then I've got the Dalmatian mollies. I had originally 6 of those. I had 3 lyre-tailed and 3 regular. Right now I can only see 1 of my lyre-tailed and 3 of my regular. I believe they're all, or most of them, are female. I think this darkest one right here behind the lyre tail is a male, I'm not sure. But, I also have my goldfish, as you can see there. And then I've got 3 of the albino cories. And then, I believe that is a emerald cory. I can't remember. It's either an emerald or a brown. And then I have 2 plecos. Well, I don't think you can really see them. I've got 2 plecos, but this guy right here is the baby of these 2 in the back here. Can't really see the dad, but that's the mama. The way you can tell the difference between male and females, from what I've read, for the cories, is the females are usually bigger and plumper. Then for platies, guppies, and mollies, the way you can tell the difference is they've got a little fin towards their back end there. You can kind of see it there. It's called the anal fin. The males are more pointed, whereas the females are splayed. So, yeah. And my guppies are male. I've got 4. Originally had 6. But right now, the reason the water was kind of gunky is because, 2 of my mollies have what I think is ick. Not really sure because they're yellow. It's yellow spots versus regular white, which is what ick usually is. So, if anybody knows, let me know, because I'm not sure of that. I'm not exactly familiar with all of the different parasites. Yeah, I actually do have both of my lyre tails, so I just wasn't paying attention. I have 2 of my lyre tails left and 3 of my regular. Anyway, I'm going to go walk over here to go show you my betas. Actually, one is my sister's, but this one's mine. You can't see her. There she is. Her bowl needs to be cleaned out. It's my female. And here's my male, or my sister's male. Isn't he pretty? He's got blue and a little bit of purple on the red and the tail. And now his tail is not shredded. He's a special kind of beta. And no, we're not being cruel for putting them in small bowls. This is what they were bred to be in. A lot of people think that they should be in bigger bowls, but actually no, they don't have to be. The largest bowl I have been recommended to put them in is a 10-gallon tank. You don't have to do filtration with the betas. You can, but you don't have to. I don't on those. Eventually I'm going to put them in each of them in their own individual little 2-gallon tank. Back in my kitchen. I don't know why I'm coming in here, but there's my dad's tank. But yeah, they don't have to be in a tank with filters in it. It just helps keep the tank cleaner, so you don't have to clean it as often. This is my dad's tank. His isn't have as much stuff in it. He's got 3 silver dollars, which are huge. They've got to be at least 6 inches long. And then he's got 5 quarries, 4 albinos, and 1 emerald. Yeah, so his tank is still kind of cloudy, like mine is. But he's got the same kind of tank that I do. It's just a 56-gallon tank. He's just got a different filtration system on his. Better filtration than what I've got on mine. Saving up. This is I think it's a marine land. Or no, it's a penguin, I'm sorry. It's a penguin bio wheel. And it's really kind of interesting. Let me see if I can. You can't really see it. It's this little part in here. It's a wheel that spins as the water goes by it. And you actually really rarely ever have to change those or even really rinse those out. They're just an additional filter. And he has a total of 4 extra filters that actually filter the water. This just acts as whenever you change the water, or even if you don't, it just helps keep the water chemistry balanced. On mine, I just have 2 different filtration systems. I don't have any filter cartridges in it right now because I'm treating the egg, and they say not to have the filter cartridges in there. Mine need to be cleaned a little bit, but they're both top fin. This one can filter up to 60 gallons of water. And the fish here coming to say hi. The top one I think needs to be cleaned, but that one back there, that one filters, I want to say up to 30 gallons. I'm not sure. It's been a while. But yeah, like I said, the only types of fish that really need to have the filters are the ones that, like those, the tropical fish and the stuff that are, like if you ever go into PetSmart, the ones that are on the, in the aquariums on the walls. You know, the tropical fish, the goldfish, the cichlids, and stuff like that. And also I think I have 2 crabs, which very rarely come out during the day. And then I have 2 some kind of loaches. I can't remember what they're called, but they're long and they look almost like eels, and they like to hide up under stuff. Don't know if we'd be able to see them, but usually I've got one crab that likes to hide up in there, and then I don't know, I gotta scrape this algae off the side. You can't really see it, I don't think. But yeah, and for those of you who are followers of Kate, who said, oh, you know, you should keep your beta in a tank that has a filter on it, in a bigger tank, because it's just cruel. You know, it's not cruel. The bowls that I have my betas in are actually smaller than, I believe, this one may be about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller than the one that Kate got her beta. But, and also for those of you who are PETA supporters, yeah, you can see he's doing just fine, as well as my other one. They're doing just fine. But for those of you who wonder how to keep up with a larger tank, or even a tank in general that has the filtration system on it, it's really not that hard once you get it set up. I usually don't do too much of a water change if I do one at all. As you can see, the water's kind of low right now. But I do, depending on how clean I want to get the rocks, which I usually don't get them too terribly clean. I usually don't do more than a max of maybe a 50% water change, which means I take about half the water. I usually take it to about right there as the lowest. And that's only when I'm trying to get the gravel real good. Once I gravel back, which is usually the easiest way to do it. I have one that actually I attach to the hose outside, and it has a little switch where you can push it to put water in the tank or water out of the tank. And then with you only have to do that maybe once a month, once every month and a half, 2 months max, you know. So, and then there's the filters. I usually like to completely change those out once a month, once every 6 weeks, depending on, you know, how the water's looking and everything, and just to kind of try and keep it balanced. But in between changing the filter cartridges, I usually I'll rinse them out real good with the sprayer thing from the sink. Don't worry, I'll wash my sink out real good afterwards. And then maybe refresh the active carbon in there, because what the carbon in the filter does, it takes out all the toxins and stuff, you know, the ammonia and everything else out of the tanks, to keep the tank clean. And then the kind of chemicals I usually like to use, I don't have any more that I have to go and get some more, but I use aquarium salt and Tetra brand, and it comes in a little yellow bottle like this, but this is algae control. And it's the, not just the regular water conditioner, it's like the Tetra something plus, but it comes in yellow bottles like this, and you can get it either this size. I usually get 2 sizes up from this. Not the largest bottle, but the next to largest bottle, just because it tends to last a little bit longer. And for when your fish have ick and stuff, this tends to, from what I hear, usually work pretty good, which is what I'm using right now in the tank to cure my fish that I have. And then I usually use this, a Tetramin Tropical Flakes. This is what I've been using anyway. I usually prefer to use the crisp, Tetra brand crisp for tropical fish, just because they tend to, it keeps the water a little bit cleaner. The flakes tend to get soggy quickly and sink to the bottom, and then just decaying at the bottom. But this is the shrimp pellets. Doesn't usually really matter what brand. I usually just get whatever I can afford at the time. Shrimp pellets, and therefore the quarries and the crabs and stuff like that. And I usually have, I'm actually just ran out of the algae wafers. Doesn't usually really matter what kind of sinking algae wafers that you use. And those are for the plecos, because they're pretty much taking care of the algae growth in the tank. So that just keeps them good. And the mollies and the platies like to kind of nibble on those too. And so does my goldfish. She likes the pellets, shrimp pellets too. And so the quarries. But, which is part of the reason why my quarries are so fat, because they're eating all the pellets and stuff. But yeah, that's basic care. And also, when you have tropical fish, you usually want to keep a aquarium heater in there. This one is for a 60-gallon tank. So you usually want to try and get one at least for the size tank that you have. And when I say 56 gallons, it's actually technically a 55. And the reason they call it a 56 is because it's, unlike most 55-gallon tanks, which are longer, these are tall and taller, and deeper. So yeah, and then for betas, you usually want to clean out their tank, or at least I try and clean out their tank twice a month. Every 1.5 to 2 weeks. You usually don't want to feed them too much. With them, I usually feed them these, which are actual beta pellets. 2 or 3 of those are usually good enough. And then sometimes I'll get these Tetramin Tropical granules. They actually even have a picture of a beta on there. And they like the freeze-dried bloodworms. Haven't been feeding these guys, the guys in the main tank, the freeze-dried bloodworms, just because they tend to get, they don't tend to eat all of them because they float at the top, and not all of my fish are top level fish. I've got the bottom and the middle, the different levels in the tank. So I eventually plan on getting the frozen bloodworms, which all you do with those is you take a little bit of the tank water in a bowl and put, they actually have 2 different ways you can get the freeze-dried bloodworm, or the frozen bloodworms. Is you can get the, in just one thick solid, solid piece, or you can get cubes. And I would recommend the cubes just because it's easier to portion how much you give your fish. For the amount of fish I have in my tank, one maybe 2 cubes would be enough. And all you do is you stick them in the water and let them thaw out. Because you have to keep them in the freezer. So that's what you do with that. You need a variety of food for the fish. For those of you who are a little bit more inventive, I guess, I don't really know how inventive with your tank, you can put up, like if you have plecos in your tank, you can give them romaine, and they actually have special veggie clips that you can buy at the store, at PetSmart or Petco. PetSmart usually has them at a reasonable price that you can get, or you can use like the clips you use on for your bags of potato chips and stuff like that. You can use those too, as long as they sink to the bottom of the tank. And you just put the romaine in that. I think there's other videos on YouTube that show you how the different feeding techniques for different kinds of fish. So I would recommend looking at those. So yeah, I mean, and like I said, you don't usually have to clean your tank too much. And you can either do, like I did, and do artificial plants, and the black or different colored gravel at the bottom, or you can do sand. I also added rocks that I found. This big piece right here is actually a piece of petrified wood that my grandmother found out on her property out in Cameron County. But they had different stores, the pet stores have all kinds of different things you can put in your aquarium, the artificial plants and whatnot, or that you can get the live plants. PetSmart is starting to get, at least the one that's near where I live, that I go to, they're starting to get more of a variety of aquatic plants for your tank. They just have a little bit of a variety. And the reason I like going to PetSmart is because their fish are usually 9.9 times out of 10. Their fish are very healthy and tend to last for a good while, and I like their variety of products for not only fish and specialty animals, like their small animals, birds and reptiles, is they have a good bit of different foods for your other animals, your four-legged furry variety, cats and dogs. I don't think I really go anywhere else for my animals than PetSmart. That's where I get my cat's food, my indoor kitty, which isn't here right now where I live. My grandfather's taking care of her, but she gets special food. She gets blue buffalo, or blue. It has a blue buffalo on the front, that's why I call it that. Because it's an all-natural food, and I recommend that for not only cats but dogs, just because it's more natural. It doesn't have any corn, yeast, or wheat in it, and no animal byproducts of any kind in the food, which is unnecessary for cats or dogs. And the reason I switched to that is because the dog that I recently that we had, Lab Mix, Ohio, she when we had gotten our English Bulldog, you know, my mom, when she got her English Bulldog, the breeder had him on pedigree, and when he was old enough, we switched them both, put them both on the adult pedigree. But in doing that, not only did he have an allergic reaction to it, but our Lab Mix did as well. And I ended up trying this food with them, and they both got better. Because unlike the pedigree, it's just a better quality food, and it doesn't have any of that yeast or anything that dogs and cats sometimes become allergic to. No, I'm not saying that this is what we always fed them, because our Lab Mix, we used to feed her Beneful, or usually Beneful is what we had her on for a good long while. But when we first got her, she was we had her on, I think we had her on Kibbles and Bits, and she was fine on that for years, even though we did go through that food very quickly. I mean, we could get a 30-40 pound bag and her go through that in 2 or 3 weeks, because she was a good sized dog. And on the Blue, we could get a 30-40 pound bag, and then it lasts her for at least a month. You know, between the two dogs, they are both 50-60 pounds apiece. So the 30-40 pound bag would usually last us about a month at least between the two dogs. And feeding them about a cup in the morning and a cup at night. So, and even then they usually wouldn't finish it all. And then my cat, she's on the Blue, the indoor kitty, and she gets, I usually buy her about a 5 or 6 pound bag, maybe an 8 pound bag, depending on which one is on sale. But even the 5 or 6 pound bag usually lasts her at least 2.5 months. It's expensive to start off with, each time I get it for her, but in the long run it's actually cheaper, because I don't have to feed her as much as often. She gets about about a quarter of a cup in the morning and a quarter a cup at night. So it just really depends on how much you feed your animal and what kind of food that you feed them. Here you go into a 30-minute vlog, starting out as about fish and aquarium, ending about animals, or the 4-legged variety. But the outdoor kitty, that we feed here, is the black and white long-haired kitty that was born in the backyard. We feed him usually the HEB brand of cat food. I don't know what we've been feeding him lately. My grandma's been going out and getting the food, and he's a very spoiled kitty for an outdoor kitty. But yeah, he didn't even eat all of this food this morning. He gets fed once a day, and he usually doesn't even eat it all at once and comes back and nibbles on it throughout the day. But yeah, so